What if I told you intelligence is not what most people think it is? It's not just about IQ, it's not about memorizing facts, and it's definitely not about sounding smart. Real intelligence is rare, it's raw, and it's something you cannot fake. Today, I'll show you 12 undeniable signs of true intelligence that most people overlook. Let's get started. Smart people don't accept things at face value. They don't just believe what they're told. They question the news, trends, and even their own beliefs. If something doesn't make sense, they dig deeper. They ask why and what if, when everyone else just nods along. Socrates once said, "The only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing." If you live by that, congratulations. You're ahead of most people. Most people pick a side and defend it. Smart people, they see both sides. They can debate an issue from multiple angles without getting emotional. They're not stuck in black and white thinking. They live in the gray area where real understanding happens. This makes them great problem solvers and even better leaders. The world is constantly changing, and smart people change with it. They learn new skills when needed. They adjust their strategies when things stop working. While others complain about change, they embrace it. Because intelligence isn't just knowing things, it's knowing how to adjust when things go wrong. Overthinking gets a bad reputation. But in reality, smart people think deeply. They analyze situations from every angle. They plan 5 moves ahead. This doesn't mean they get stuck in analysis paralysis. It means they calculate their risks before making their move, and that's why they often make better decisions. Intelligent people see connections where others don't. They recognize patterns in behavior, markets, relationships, everything. This helps them predict outcomes before they happen. That's why many successful entrepreneurs, strategists, and investors are highly intelligent. They see the big picture before everyone else catches on. Anyone can make something sound complicated, but only a truly smart person can. Make it simple. If you can break down difficult ideas in a way that anyone can understand, that's a real sign of intelligence. Einstein once said, "If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough." So, can you? Most people fake knowledge to avoid looking dumb. Smart people don't. If they don't know something, they admit it. Then, they go find the answer. This mindset keeps them constantly learning, while others stay stuck pretending. Weather, gossip, surface-level nonsense, smart people get bored with all that. They want real conversations about ideas, philosophy, the future. This is why they often struggle with casual socializing, but when they find the right people, the conversations never end. Most people get distracted every few minutes, but smart people, they lock in. When they're interested in something, hours can pass like minutes. They enter a state of deep focus, where real creativity and problem-solving happen. That's how they master skills, and why they outperform others. Society loves conformity, but smart people don't just follow the crowd. They think for themselves. They challenge the norm. They don't just do things because that's how it's always been done. That's why they're often misunderstood, and why, years later, they're proven right. Smart people know their own strengths and weaknesses. They don't just assume they're good at everything. They don't let ego blind them to reality. Instead, they take a step back. They observe themselves with honesty. They know where they excel, and they know where they struggle. This level of self-awareness is rare. Most people avoid looking in the mirror. They lie to themselves. They convince themselves they're better than they really are. Or worse, they believe they're worse than they really are. But smart people, they face the truth, because only when you know yourself can you truly improve. They don't just focus on their strengths. They work on their weaknesses. They identify gaps in their knowledge. They study their own behaviors. They recognize patterns in their thinking. And when they notice a flaw, they don't deny it. They fix it. They understand their emotions. They don't ignore them. They don't suppress them. And they definitely don't let them control them. They take time to understand why they feel what they feel. They ask themselves hard questions. Why? Did that situation make me angry? What triggered that reaction? Am I seeing this clearly? Or am I being emotional? Most people just react. Smart people analyze. They use emotions as information, not as instructions. They don't let their emotions make their decisions for them. But they also don't ignore their feelings. Instead, they study them. They learn from them. They turn emotional awareness into a tool for making better choices. They reflect on their mistakes. Most people avoid thinking about their failures. They make excuses. They blame others. They move on without learning anything. But smart people, they pause, they think, they ask, what went wrong? They don't just look at what happened, they break it down. They analyze their decisions. Where did I miscalculate? What could I have done differently? What lesson can I take from this? They don't see mistakes as proof of failure. They see them as opportunities for growth. Because they know, if you don't learn from a mistake, you're doomed to repeat it. And smart people don't like repeating mistakes. This self-awareness helps them grow, while others stay stuck in their ways. Growth is a choice, and intelligence is shown in the willingness to change. Smart people don't hold on to outdated beliefs. They don't resist feedback. They don't let their pride stop them from evolving. Instead, they welcome growth. They seek out constructive criticism. They adjust their strategies when needed. If something isn't working, they don't force it. They adapt. They know that stubbornness is the enemy of progress. And flexibility is the key to success. That's why they're always improving, while others remain stagnant. The smartest people never feel like they know it all. The moment you think you've figured everything out, you've already stopped learning. And that's something truly intelligent people will never do. They read, not just for entertainment, not just to pass the time, but to expand their minds. They read books that challenge them. They dive into different perspectives. They don't just read what they agree with. They seek out ideas that force them to think. They understand that knowledge is limitless. And the more they read, the more they realize how much they don't know. They research. If they don't understand something, they don't pretend to. They don't guess. They don't assume. They go find the answer. They dig deep. They look at different sources. They don't just accept the first explanation they hear, because they know that truth is rarely simple and real. Understanding takes effort. They listen more than they talk. Most people love the sound of their own voice. They dominate conversations. They interrupt. They focus on what they're going to say next. But smart people, they listen, they pay attention, they absorb information, they hear not just the words, but the meaning behind them. They know that you learn more by listening than by speaking, and that the smartest person in the room is often the one saying the least, because they understand that the moment you stop learning, you stop growing. And true intelligence is all about growth. It's about being better today than you were yesterday. It's about never settling for what you already know. It's about staying curious, staying hungry, and staying open-minded. Because intelligence isn't just about being smart. It's about always getting smarter. So, how many of these signs do you recognize in yourself? Do you question everything? Do you think independently? Do you never stop learning? Do you embrace mistakes as lessons? Do you listen more than you speak? Do you challenge your own beliefs? If so, congratulations. You're not just smart, you're truly intelligent. And that means you have a responsibility. Because intelligence is a gift, but it's also a responsibility. It's your job to use it wisely, to apply your knowledge to make better decisions, to use your wisdom to help others, to never stop pushing yourself to grow. Because the world is full of people who settle, who stop thinking, who stop questioning, who stop improving. But you are different. You are someone who chooses to think, who chooses to evolve, who chooses to be more. And that is what truly separates the intelligent from the average. Now, go use it wisely.